Hi everyone, welcome, and welcome to our live. We're gonna today just talk about different hobbies that you could pick up during quarantine and different hobbies like that can just overall just fill up space and time in your day for some personal enjoyment. Kate recently just moved, and her new house happens to have a garden attached to it. So, Kate, you want to talk about that? And just what it's done for you, how it's helped, just how the process of taking care of it. What
Right.
you're growing there would be great.
Yeah. So when I first moved into this place, I was thinking, like we're gonna move into a really small property. There's not gonna have we're not gonna have a lot to do, and I'm gonna be bored out of my mind. And then I showed up here. I think it was like the first day of actually moving, and we saw the garden, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we're renting the place, so we don't own it. So I wasn't sure if we would have access to like using it because there's some things on our property that are still like owned by the owners and we're not allowed to mess with it and things like that. And so I was like, oh my God, I really hope that they let us use that because it's a really good thing for me to do. It gets me out of the house, especially with our house being smaller with 5 people now. So um, I needed something to do to save my mental sanity from being stuck in a house with 5 people in a 3-bedroom house. So I was like, I need to get out. So I saw the garden and I asked my dad, I was like, hey, is the owner okay with us using the garden? And he was like, yeah, they actually want somebody to help with landscaping and like help keep the property nice because they can't be here all the time to do it as they're working on their other properties. So I took that into my own hands. I went out the first, like once we finally settled in and we were, actually set up in the house, I was like, okay, now I can go out to the garden and try and see what I can do with this place. So I raked everything up and I kind of took a look at what we had so far. And when we first got here, we discovered that we have a banana tree. We have 2 of them, but only one is producing bananas right now. We've got,
Maybe they look like plantains, but you never know. Once they fully
yeah,
mature, you'll
we're
know
not
they
100% sure what they are, but they look like bananas, but they also could be plantains. It really just depends on like how it wasn't labeled. So it's kind of a guessing game here.
are.
Um, so we have that. We have 2 Granny Smith apple trees, which have produced apples for us. We're having a problem with birds right now, so I have to figure out how to get rid of them because they keep eating everything. But I did get to eat them and they were delicious. We have 2 different types of orange trees. One is like an actual orange tree, and then one that's further back in the property is there it's a part of the orange family. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it's a different type of orange. And then we have 3 avocado trees, so we already had a lot of like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we had a lot of produce like already growing when we got here. They also, in like the planters themselves, they had a pepper plant that was growing 3 green peppers when we first got here, and then they actually labeled it zucchini, but it's actually a corn stalk. Um, at least that's what it's looking like because if they labeled it incorrectly, I'm sure what it is.
Zucchini wouldn't look like a corn stalk. It would look like a vine, kind of like I think the cucumber. I'd have to look at that again, but definitely
Yeah,
wouldn't look like corn.
it's not zucchini for sure because zucchini is like cucumber. It grows like a vine or like a squash kind of a thing.
Yeah.
This thing very much was not a vine. It was like a tree looking thing. So we're assuming it's corn. We don't 100% know yet, but it'll be a guessing game until we figure it out.
Yeah.
So what I did after that was to make this like a daily habit for me. I went out and I went to Home Depot. This is where I went. I went to Home Depot and I was like, okay, I need to figure out, do I want to buy like saplings to put in the planters or what? So I actually spoke to someone who was working at Home Depot and I was like, listen, I'm trying to start a garden. Like, what do you think is the best thing? Like, I already got a planter and everything. Like, I have the space. Now it's just a matter of like getting the plants going. The person I spoke to recommended that during this season, because we're still in winter, but we live in California, so like winter really doesn't actually exist. It was 91 the other day.
Around.
Yeah,
You have
so
a couple of days here and there where it's freezing, and then the next day it's hot. So
So it really, like, winter's kind of fake here. Like, we see
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 3 cold days within like a month. So so I spoke to them and they were like, well, because it is still winter and like the plants kind of grow based off of it's not necessarily due to regional areas. It depends on like what the plant likes. So because it's winter, it's going to take them longer to um, kind of sprout and get used to it. So he recommended that I bought the little, like, they look like egg cartons. They're like the compostable like planters, and he told me to get a bunch of those and choose a bunch of seeds and start the seeds, because most people don't like starting from seeds because sometimes they take like really long time to sprout, or they're just harder to manage. But he was like, you're not going to get real actual produce for a good little while, so you might as well start seeds now because it'll give you a lot of time for them to grow, and then you're growing them from the start. So that's what I did. I planted a bunch of different seeds, and now I make it a habit every day. When I wake up, I get ready for the day, and then I go out to the garden. I pull the seeds out from we have like a shed that I put them in that's acting as like my greenhouse, because at night it's way too cold for them to just be sitting outside. So I have to keep them in a warmer climate, but I don't want them in my house because that's dirt and I don't like that. So we put them in like our fake greenhouse, and then every morning I go out and I take them out so that they get the sunlight. I water everything on the property. I do maintenance if I have to, so I'll like peel the dead stuff off of anything. And that's kind of like, that's all I'm at right now. I can't really harvest anything because there really isn't anything to harvest yet. It's really just like maintenance and, helping them grow and giving them food and water and, whatever, like that kind of a thing. It's like taking care of a child. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like what I've been doing with the garden. And you get to a certain point where like now it's like a waiting game. You're not really doing anything. But it's still exciting. Like, it gives me a reason to get up and go outside in the morning too, which is really nice because I do it before I go to class. So it has been like integrated almost into like my morning routine. And that's my way of like energizing and waking myself up. I get my coffee, I drink a couple sips of it, and then I go out to the garden, I do my gardening aspect, and then I come back inside, and then I sit down for school for 2 hours, and then I do homework, and then I go back outside at night to put the seeds away. And so it's just kind of like a habit now. It's like something I have integrated into a routine of things to do, and it has been really fun to do so far. And I'm looking now, just taking care of the property, to start working on stuff that's in the front yard, because I just found out we have a rose bush out there, but it's not producing anything because it's so dead that I'm hoping, like, it's not dead enough for where I can't save it, but it does need a lot of work. And then they've got like a bunch of other things out there that I have no idea what half of them are. So I want to kind of switch gears now that the back is set up and work on the front of the property. So that's kind of been like my hobby for right now.
I mean, it's great. I've done gardening. Like, I've always been interested in gardening since I was little. I think for my 11th or 10th or 11th birthday, I vividly remember asking for dirt for my birthday because I really wanted to garden stuff. We lived in Louisiana at the time. I couldn't just plant stuff in the ground because the rain would wash everything out. So I asked for seeds and a bag of dirt and just stuff to get me started. So that was gardening has always been a hobby of mine that I've always loved. Moving here, everything kind of just I've fallen out of it, but I miss it. Because in 8th grade, I was like huge on it too. We had gardening club. That was the one thing I look forward to going to every what was it? It's like once or twice a week. I remember going. I loved it.
We met when I was in, I think, 7th grade. You were in like, I think this was when we were already in school. So it was like maybe first semester, like later in the semester. I'm not really sure, but we met like later in the semester of your 8th grade year and my 7th grade year. And I remember you coming home and like us hanging out, and you would tell me like all of the things you were doing in your garden at school. And then at one point, didn't you actually get like a box to build for like a garden on your front patio? But then like we never ended up putting it together.
No, we put it together once. We just didn't have enough dirt, so I couldn't
Oh,
put anything in it. So I ended
nice.
up donating to the garden club at the high school. So I'm hoping they put better use to it than I did, because we didn't have enough dirt, so I just kind of let it sit and then didn't do anything else with it.
Right. Yeah, so I remember like that was one thing that I really wanted to do. Actually, I'm so into gardening that like kind of my future plan is to um, go and like have a property of my own. And then I kind of like, I know that I don't want to be fully self-sufficient in the aspect of like fully growing everything myself, because that takes a lot and it takes a long time for you to get a big enough garden even to do something like that. So that's something that I wanted to do. And I still want to do that. I still want to have a property, have a big garden where like I'm pretty much eating really healthy foods because I'm growing them myself and things of that nature. And I've just always really like wanted to do that. And now that I get the opportunity to have a garden and like do my own thing, it's really nice. And like I get to drink like freshly squeezed orange juice in the morning now, which like I really hate to say it, but nothing beats that. Like you can buy orange juice from a store, but once you've had like orange juice that you've squeezed yourself, and like it is the most refreshing thing in the morning, I swear. It's like better than drink. This is something I will never say, but it is almost better than drinking coffee in the morning. And that's
I always hear that, and honestly, I can say it's completely true. Like, growing your own stuff is so much better than going and get the processed stuff from the store. It's so much more rewarding to you, knowing that you grew it yourself. You helped raise it, and it's so much more rewarding.
Exactly. Amazing. It's a lot of work.
We made it this long without it glitching. With it. Hello? Oh, it froze. Okay, it's like glitching out.
I lost Keith.
I'm right here.
Okay, we're back. I was like, where'd you go?
I ran away.
Nice.
Okay, I want to
go ahead.
Okay. Hello, welcome to live. We're just talking about gardening at the moment, just spewing how gardening's helped us and all that. I want us to move us along from this topic to other hobbies that you can have, because we've basically been talking about this for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some other stuff you can do. So, for one, you can read. You could definitely go pick up a book if you're not into that. Maybe try writing a story if you like. If you are really creative and want to just put words to a page, I highly suggest writing down some stories. Or picking up a book and transporting yourself from this reality to a different one. There's so many different genres that you can go pick up if you are into mystery and like trying to figure out what's gonna happen next. Definitely go pick up like a mystery book. Learning a new skill. Like if you've always wanted to try something new, then go. I mean, that goes along with reading. If you really wanted to go pick up a new skill, you can go find a book at like a bookstore on like, I don't know. I've seen woodworking. You can probably go pick up a book on woodworking, and then go to the hardware store, pick up some lumber and some new tools to play with. Just, build something. Do something that you find rewarding, that will distract you from the everyday life and just make you a little bit happier.
Yeah.
Painting, if you're again one of those creative type and you just want to just if you really like working with paint, then put paint to the canvas, put paint to some paper, draw, and then paint it. There's so many different options you could do. Yeah. My hobbies are basically just working out and sometimes I'll write a story, or I'm currently working on a short story for my partner, and I really wanted to pick up leatherworking, so I got a leather. I got a kit on Etsy for a leather bound book because I've always wanted to. I've ever since I've found leatherwork, I've wanted to try like putting together something with leather. So I went out and got a leather bound book because I really like the look of them. I really like the feel of them, and I figured I'd write a story and then print out the story on the pages that it provides, and then put the book together. And then I've just written a book, kind of, I've read the book. I just put it in the leather bound. Yeah. I find this a lot more rewarding to do because I put it together. Like, it's awesome.
You are much more engaged in things than I think I am, but that's because like right now school kind of really controls my life, and like that's kind of my hobby now. Um, so there's that. Gardening is a really good one, which is what we just had like a whole 15-minute conversation about, and me talking about like my move here. If you are like someone who is really artistic and you are into makeup and such, like that's a really good time now to like sit down and try and create pieces. And it doesn't even have to be like your normal everyday makeup thing. Like makeup can be a hobby if that's what you want it to be. Like if you're thinking makeup as in like the whole like James Charles aspect, you could do like what's that? I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like the thing where if you work for like a movie and like you're working with
like
prosthetics and like, yeah, special effects. If you can do like that, those kind of things, and that's like a really cool thing to get into. But you might want to really into that artistic for that.
I love special effects, but I prefer the behind the scenes, the green screen stuff where it looks crazy. It's like before you do anything, but then as soon as you put it on screen and edit everything, it looks so cool. Especially with like buildings blowing up, cars flying all over the place, you have people drifting through the scene. Yeah, I prefer that kind of stuff. The special effects makeup aspect is also really awesome. It's just not my forte.
Yeah.
But if you're into all that stuff, definitely give it a shot. Start out small, doing little like feature changes with different makeup techniques.
Right. I would never go into that because like I'm artistic, but not in that way. I can't draw anything to save my life. Like I probably can't even draw it's really bad. So I wouldn't go into something like that because if you're looking for something that's like really time consuming because you just like have nothing else to do and you're like I need something to fill time, like that's a really good thing. Like I think I watched a video on Jim Carrey being like put into his Grinch costume. They told us in the video that it takes him about like 12 to 15 hours to get ready for his scene.
Dang. I mean, yeah, if you make it look really good, yeah, I can.
So like the makeup itself takes a really long time, but then having to take that makeup and then like adjust it with his costume, do like last minute touch-ups, like all of the above, it takes a lot. And so if you're looking for something like really time consuming, that's a really good thing to go into because it takes a long time. And you'll probably see like all these girls on TikTok I've seen who do things like this. They'll make like a second part to their video where like they show like getting into it, but then they'll talk about how they're like really sad because they spent like 4 hours doing a makeup look just to take it off.
That was my thing with it. Like I think all that is really cool. It's just not my thing, and it's like you spend so many hours perfecting this look only for you to take it off maybe an hour later.
Yeah.
After the scene is over, you take it all off and you have to do it all over again. Especially if you're working on a movie. If you're working on a movie, then you're putting this look together. Then the actor or actress does the scene, and then after that they take it all off. Like it's cool. I think
the funniest thing, like if you're doing makeup for like again like Jim Carrey in his Grinch moment, like he has a lot of scenes, so it makes sense, you know, like I feel like if I was working with somebody who had a lot of roles and like was playing like in a lot of the movie aspect, but then if like to do somebody who maybe has like one scene and get them all complete and then they do their one scene and then like they just take it off, like I think I would cry.
I really like something that lasts, and that stuff just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's so
So
cool to know what you're doing. Like, for a while was following Adam Savage because I found him on shoot, what was it called again? Mythbusters. But I had decided to follow his other stuff on YouTube, and I was so intrigued by the props he was making that I was like, that's really cool because that stuff lasts. Like, he'll build it, or like if you're just in that industry, you build it. The actress uses the prop, and then it stays around. Like, that becomes an icon for like that movie, and I think
yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, it is like when I was in theater, which was I don't even know. I think I did it for like 6 years. And when I was in that, my favorite thing was like we as the people performing wouldn't really see a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff until we'd get to like tech rehearsals where like it was down to like, okay, everything needs to be finished prop wise, like the back
Yeah.
scenery needs to be completed, the painting needs to be done. Like that stuff was really cool to see, especially because I wasn't doing it and like it was like a surprise because I didn't get to see it. And then the second they bring it in, I was like, that's so cool. And
Right?
I will say like high school theater is a little bit different because it depends on like what you're doing and it depends on the like financial situation of the school itself. So if you're doing a show that like getting the rights for the show is already super expensive, your props might not be as great because you had to spend money on like the copyright stuff.
Yeah.
It really depends. But when I did professional theater through Met 2, if you guys know who that is, I have no idea. But when I did that, I did like the one of the biggest ones I remember that had the craziest freaking props was when I did Horton Hears a Who, Seussical the Musical.
I
The scenery
remember.
was unbelievable. They had to build this entire staircase thing that was like at the back, and then they had to do all this like crazy Dr. Seuss paintings on it. And then at one point in time, there was a scene where the kid who was playing JoJo had to sit in a bathtub. They had to take an actual literal bathtub, put it on wheels so that it could be on the set. Like the creativity and things that went behind that entire show was just crazy. And we had the Grinch was in the movie or in the performance and everything. Like it was just insane. And then the bathtub scene, all of the people were standing like down the aisles everywhere in the theater, and we were like playing with beach balls. We were playing with these like giant, like the little kids who were like in kindergarten sat along the edge of the stage, and they were like the little fish in the water. Like it was really cool. And just to think that like all of those props, like none of those things were bought. They were all handmade. Well, besides like the beach ball, because I mean, I don't think people are making beach balls.
Yeah.
So we're gonna buy those.
I mean, you don't know, they could have.
But everything was handmade, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up another thing that I think is weird that it's becoming such a big thing. Like I've seen it a lot on TikTok, and that might just be my For You page because like I have some weird things pop up on my For You page. But something I've been really seeing like coming back and like being, I guess, trendy now is knitting, which I never thought would be like a thing because everybody associates that with like old people. But I'm like,
Oh, you know, I have a friend that does that. Well, yeah. I thought
so
that
like I've
was.
seen people making tutorials on like how they make their hand knitted like massive throw blankets, where they just knit it by hand. Like they don't use any other tools. They just go to the store, they get their yarn, and they like knit an entire blanket. So I've seen that one, but then like I'm doing knitting right now. I'm making a blanket, and I'm using an Afghan loom, and that thing, it takes so long because each stitch is so small that it doesn't like it's not completed in like 2 days. It's gonna take me if I want a full size throw blanket, it's gonna take me a couple months to finish it, which is good
Yeah.
because I get bored very easily. Like I need to constantly be changing my hobbies because if I'm not, like I'm just sick of it. So I kind of go back and forth. So I'll do something and then I'm like, okay, now I'm bored. So then I'll pull out like my knitting and I'll do that for like a few minutes a night or something. And then I'll get bored. So then I go and do something else. Like I constantly have to be doing something different.
Yeah. Okay, so around Halloween, I had gotten this. I'm bringing up the jacket. So I had gotten this jacket because I was like, okay, so I really want a NASA themed jacket because I had seen one on TikTok and I was like, that's really cool. I wonder if I could make my own. I found a jumpsuit that was just about my size, maybe just a size too small, but it's great. So I decided that, and this can be a hobby, like it seriously can. If you wanted to go and sew together, I think it's called like it's basically where you go and you get old clothes from like thrift shop or like a yard sale or whatever, and you modify it for your own liking. Like you just reuse it, recycle it, and make it personalized.
Yeah, I think it's called upcycling, but I don't know if
Yeah,
it's with clothing.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Okay.
is. Yeah. So what I did is I guess technically it's upcycling. I don't know because it was on sale after Halloween, and I just cut off the pants section, and left the jacket section, and then started sewing the sleeves and hemming it all together so that everything looked good. And it looks great. I can bring it out and actually, yeah, I'll bring it out
Okay.
since it's like right here. So I had gotten this jacket, this space suit, and hemmed the sleeves so that no, I didn't. Oh no, it was the bottom. I made the bottom look more even and fit it to myself so that it looks good, feels good. The only thing I have left is just to put a zipper on it. So that I can't zip it up, but because it's just a size too small, but I could wear it. Like, it's an aesthetic thing. So you could easily just go to a thrift shop, a yard sale, find people who are just throwing away clothes or giving them away or selling them or whatever, and recycle them, make them your own, and just fit it to your style. I thought that was really cool and just wanted to, throw that out there.
Yeah, it's really cool. Something that like I think people tend to think like hobby wise is that you have to go out and spend all of this money to like create a hobby or whatever. But something that
Yeah.
I think is really cool to think about is I've seen a lot of people who have turned like um going online on like Pinterest or something and then like they do like digital things. Like you're not spending money, you're just like taking things that you see and then like turning it into a collage. Or you can even do the thing where I think it's called like scrapbooking or something, where you literally
Yeah.
get like a old notebook or something and then um you take like old newspapers or magazines or whatever that you can find. Like you can literally find them probably all over your street, like people that don't want them or whatever, or just like find them recycled, or ask your friends like, hey, do you have any old magazines that you're not reading that nobody ever reads now because everybody reads everything online. um and then take those, and then if you find like a really cute outfit or something, like you can put that in there. Or like if you see something that looks like, oh, that would like be a really cool place to travel, like, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to make a hobby. Like you just kind of have to be
You don't have
creative.
to spend money at all. You
Yeah.
can literally just go outside and go for walks. That could be a hobby. You could go, like, if you have a bike, go bike riding. If you have a dog, go for hikes, walks. Yeah, you could go to the park. You can train your dog. That can be a hobby. Training your dog to do like obstacle course, like put household items around the yard and have them like weave through items, have them jump over, like if you have a small bench or a really short chair, have them jump on it. You can just like find what you have, see what interests you, and go with it.
I really
Like,
want to see people do that with their cats. I think that would be really
yeah, you can train your cat too if it's not too stubborn.
cool. Yeah, that's not
Especially
happening.
kittens. You can do that with kittens because they're more impressionable. Well, some kittens.
Nala might not be though. She's a brat.
My brother started training his cat, and our cats. He's I think he trained him to do paw, and I think that worked. And he's like what, 2 now, 3? And that was like a recent training. So yeah, you are glitching out. Oh, there it goes again. Hi, you're back. We're back.
Hi.
And we're back.
Ew. What were we
Had
saying?
to.
Oh, we were talking
I
about,
was
we were
saying,
talking about
yeah,
yeah, your cat is like
cats are
this
a little bit harder.
Satan sometimes
Cats
though.
are a little bit harder to train, but I mean, with enough persistence, I think you could do it. And if that's what you're interested in doing, then do that. Do what makes you happy. I mean, you say you hear it a lot, but it's true. Do what makes you happy, and the rest will come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something that would be
Yeah.
like really cool. This kind of, I guess, goes along with like making collages and or I don't know, scrapbooking, I guess. Something that I've kind of gotten an interest in, but like there's like nothing I can really do with it, if that makes sense, is like, I don't know what exactly it's called, but like, you know how people are like, oh, I really like design. It's like interior design. That's what it's called because my brain decided to tell me. Interior design is kind of like a cool thing. Now, granted, I'm not like, I guess, super into it. It's just kind of something that like when I find something I really like, or something that I find like aesthetically pleasing, I'm like, okay, well that's really cool. And then I try to sit there and like, I'll take pictures that I find like on Pinterest or like online or whatever, and I'll try to like put them together so that I'm like fake making interior design, going nowhere. It's not doing anything, but it passes my time. It gives me something to do, and it's kind of cool. So that's another way to do something like interior design. If you can't spend money and you don't have a place to like actually do the designing in, you can create like your own spaces within using images that you find different places, which is why I said like I guess I could go along with scrapbooking, because if you wanted to do like a scrapbook of it, you could do a digital version of it, and things of that nature. So
Yeah. There are tons of options you can do to brighten up your day, make your life a little bit easier, make yourself help yourself relax and calm down and just take a break from the world. You just have to find what works for you, see what makes you happy, and seriously, try out so many different options and see what you like. And there's never one size fits all kind of option. You can always go from one thing to another. There's no shame in doing one thing this week and then doing something else next week, and then like it happens. So yeah, just go out and try different things. See what makes you happy. Like we're supposed to be saying, grow with change. Like you change. Everybody changes. Just grow with that. Grow with the change that comes.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Something that I like, my dad's girlfriend, she does this all the time. And I'm like, one, I wish I was this creative. And two, she makes money off of this. So like you can turn your hobby, like this is fully a hobby for her. Like she makes money off of it, but it's 100% a hobby because she works in a financial thing for a hospital. So like she has a full paying daytime job, but like she wants to do something more creative. So she went and she sends me pictures of all these things that she does. She's definitely like, if you want to think of like the DIY queen, like this is her. She went to the Dollar Tree. She got a bunch of these like serving plates that were different colors, and she turned them into like flowers that sit in her garden. Like she turned it into like decor for her garden, and they looked so cool. She took like serving bowls, and she, I think, took like a stick or something, and she turned it into like a mushroom for her garden. Like she did some really cool things with that. But then she made money because she made like these ornaments. She went to the Dollar Tree or something. I don't know where she went exactly. She got these super cheap, like, you know, the shot glass, like solo cups or whatever. And she turned them into Starbucks Christmas ornaments and sold them during Christmas. And so many people wanted them. And they maybe cost her like $1 each to make, and then she'd sell them and she would make a ton of money off them. So she's still doing her hobby, but she's turning that into money, which I think was really cool. And I think that you can do that with a lot of things. Like if you are making art pieces, like make art and sell it on eBay or I don't know, just like do something and make money off of it if that's what you want to do.
Yep. All right, well, we kind of got to wrap this up, but yeah, there are many different options. You can make money off of your hobbies. You can, like, seriously go crazy, see what works, grow with the change.
Thanks for joining the live, and we'll see you next time.